morning, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Boredom Busters with Lincoln Children's Museum. Today is Tuesday, June 2nd, and today we are going to talk a little bit about native plants. Now, why is it important to have native plants in your yard? And what is a native plant anyway? Well, in Nebraska, there are some things that are native growing here. So watch this video, learn a little bit more. Now, everywhere has different plants that naturally grow in that area. So here, you might see there are some that are very different than other parts of even the state and around the country and around the world. Now, the plants that naturally grow here attract the animals that naturally live here. If a plant is coming in from a different part of the world or the country, it's called non-native. And sometimes those plants can just get a little bit wild and out of control with their growth. And they might be called invasive species. Now, sometimes those invasive species take over and they don't leave room for the native plants to grow anymore. And those invasive plants will attract non-native invasive animal species. So if we have non-native invasive animal species coming in, there's no more room for the native animals of Nebraska. So watch this video, learn a little bit more about flowers that are native to Nebraska. Now we also have a song recommendation today. This is the plant song. And we have that linked for you to listen to. Turn it on. And now for our book recommendation. This is a fun story called Plants Can't Sit Still by Rebecca E. Hirsch. And again, we have this one linked for you. It's a fun story. I definitely recommend it. Now for our printable today, we have Kazoo with his friends Chloe and Kyle, and they are out playing in the yard. Now, there are some toys that they left out, and we need to get those toys picked up to make a nice clean environment for his native flower garden to grow. And I do have a couple of activities today. So first we're going to plant some seeds. Now this is a good way that we can plant some seeds that are from plants that are native to Nebraska. We can also plant anything really. Now all you need is some soil, a cardboard egg carton, some aluminum foil, and some seeds. Now for tools, I tried a couple different things. I liked using a screwdriver and a hammer, as well as some scissors. Now, if you only have the styrofoam egg cartons, that's okay. It'll just be a little bit different when you get to planting them. So we're going to separate this. I'm going to cut this little lid off here, as we're going to plant the seeds where the eggs go, and we're going to use the lid as a tray. Now the thing about the cardboard egg cartons is that they're completely biodegradable. That means that they will break down, they will degrade naturally, and everything in it is just fine to have in the environment. Styrofoam egg cartons will not biodegrade. So now we have our lid and our bottom here. I cut off that little flap too. Now we need to get some holes in the bottoms of these. I already did some of them. Just get your screwdriver, place it on the bottom, and tap it in. And 2 holes per container is a good number. Now we're going to end up planting in every single one of these. Oh, there it is. Got one more here. I did some of these before I started today because I knew it would take a few minutes. Now, I just noticed as I was doing this that when I did it before, the lid was still connected, so it was nice and flat. But this time, I'd already cut the lid off, and it was wobbling back and forth a little bit. So I would recommend based on my new experience, to leave the lid on and cut that off second. All right, now that we have these holes punched, we're going to take this lid and we need to cover it in foil. So I'm going to use that much. And we want to put 2 layers on because one layer sometimes can get a little bit leaky. So we want to cover all of our bases here and double layer it. This is going to be the little tray underneath to catch the extra drips of water. All right, here's my second piece of foil. Now I have in my tub here some potting soil. You can definitely also use, especially if you're planting native plants, you can probably use some native soil. All right, so there's my little tray. This is just gonna pop right on top of there. And we need to fill these with some soil. Now, with the seeds that you get, usually on the back, it says when a good time to plant them is. And I chose some seeds that said that June was the right time to plant in Nebraska. I also chose seeds that said to plant less than 1/4 of an inch deep because I know that these little containers are not very deep. Now, I'm finding some roots from last year's plants. That's okay. I'm gonna pull out some of the bigger ones though. Now, you're gonna want to press it down. And then you might need to get a little bit more soil in there. Some of those are not quite as full. I can get a little more. All right, there we go, nice and ready. Now choose your seeds. Here are some of my seeds here. And I'm just going to put a couple seeds in each of these little containers. Now we put more than one in each container because we never know, sometimes they just don't sprout. So I'm putting in about 2 or 3 or 4 little seeds in each one of these. And now I need to add a little bit more soil to cover up those seeds. If you're doing something a little bit bigger like a bean, you can press it down in and then pat it over. With these ones, they're the same color as the soil and they're very small, so I can't actually see them anymore, so I'm just gonna put some more soil on top. Big root. And once you have all of your soil in, you need to water them. Now you just need to put a little bit of water in each one. You don't want it to get too soggy. So I'm just gonna pour a little bit in here. Make the soil nice and moist. Because if you get it too soggy, then that cardboard will start to break down, which is good in nature, but if we're using it as a container, we don't want it to break down quite yet. Well, there is your seedling starter. You're going to want to keep this in a sunny window, which shouldn't be a problem right now. It's so warm out there. And make sure that the soil stays moist. So you might need to water it every day, or after a long hot day, you might need to water it a second time. Now, when they start sprouting, you can cut these apart and just plant the whole thing because remember I said the cardboard is biodegradable. So when they start sprouting, just cut them apart, plant the whole thing, and the roots of your plants will actually help break down that cardboard. Now, if you only have these styrofoam egg cartons, you are going to have to take them out of the styrofoam before planting them. And you can plant them right in the ground, or you can plant them into a larger pot. Right, have fun with that one. Now, I have a craft also, and this is a fun way to make some sunflowers. So you need yellow paper, some cardboard like the thickness of a cereal box. You'll need a black marker, and I'm going to use this ballpoint pen for some texture later on. Tape, glue, maybe some glue stick, and then something round to trace around, and a piece of paper to put your creation on. Now, what we need is to fold our paper into thirds. Now the size, the width here, that will determine the size of your sunflower. So you can make them all the same size or all different sizes. So I like to fold it. That shows me where to cut. And then I cut down that line. You can definitely use a ruler to draw a line down the paper, whatever works best for you. All right, so there is my paper. Now I need to fold the edge in about 2 centimeters, maybe about an inch. And then after I fold that, I need to fold the short side in to meet that middle line. All right, now we need to cut. So this big side is going to be the petals. And we're going to cut all the way down to the fold, but not past the fold. And now the skinnier you cut these, the more petals you're going to have. Cut all the way down. Now this art project is actually inspired by Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers painting. So this is going to take a little bit to get all the way down to the end. I'm going to start making some bigger petals here. And you can make as many of these sunflowers as you want. I'm just going to make one for you today. And it's going to be a 3-dimensional art project. So instead of being flat, if it's flat on the paper, it's 2-dimensional. If it sticks out from the page, it's 3-dimensional. Now, we have our 2 folds, and we need to cut. It's not as important to cut these ones as perfectly. Still just up to that fold. This is going to help us curl this paper around, because it doesn't look like a sunflower yet, does it? But very soon it will. Just up to the fold. All right, and now roll it around. So there it is. I just need a little piece of tape to hold it. And then you'll tape or glue these little bits down and fold these out. So, just want to make sure that all these little tabs, because now these are the tabs that will help hold it down. And again, you can use tape or glue. I think I'm just going to use a little bit of tape here, because mine is a demonstration. You might want to use glue to be a little bit more careful with your art. Tape it down, glue it down. So there is one sunflower. Now for the center, we want to use some cardboard. Let's see, I think, yep, that's the perfect size. So find something to trace that's the perfect size. And we're gonna draw this line around. So there's a circle. Now before I cut it out, I'm actually going to color it. I'm going to color it black to be the center of my sunflower. And well, the center of a sunflower is where all the seeds are, and it's very, very rough. So I'm going to use that ballpoint pen to kind of scratch in some texture, since we're going for the 3-dimensional look here. You can also use paint and make it stand up a little bit with a little extra paint on there. So here, I'm going to just use my ballpoint pen and scratch into the surface. It's kind of hard to see because it's black on black, but the end result, you'll definitely be able to see. Any little finishing touch that you do will just make it look a little nicer. So scratching that in. All right, and then cut around your circle. Now I like to color before I cut. That way I can get all the way up to the edge, and if I go over a little bit, it's okay. And I don't make a mess. Oh, here is the center of my flower. Oh, there we go. And then this will need to be glued or taped down. Ooh, perfect. I'm going to use a little bit of glue stick. Get to the edges. Although once it gets in there, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. There we go. So there's a sunflower with a center. Now you can use a straw and cut it in half to make a stem, because we want everything to be three-dimensional in this picture. So we cut it in half so that it has a flat side to stick to the paper. And I think that that's going to be long enough. So, and I did choose one that has a green stripe on it, because I think that it should be green. Oh, that's just the right length. All right, now I'm going to use regular white glue, and this is definitely going to take a little while to dry because it's so thick. I'm going to fill up that little straw trough there. And flip it over, connect it there, and then I'm just going to have to let that sit and have the glue do its thing. But you can also make a vase. You can trace out a vase shape on your cardboard and put it around your stems. All right, well, now, Miss Mandy, I do have a joke for you today.
Okay.
Why did the bee have sticky hair?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he used a honeycomb. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. I hope you've all been enjoying Read Aloud Lincoln Story Times. Make sure to check out their Facebook page for the times and days that they do all of their fun story times. I'll see you all tomorrow at 10:30.